Okay, so hello there, everyone, and welcome to Nebcam Gaming. So we thought we'd do like a bit of a chit chat with you guys and discuss what we're going to do with the channel. Basically, I'm joined by my co-host Jim Bob. Hello, Jim.
Hello, I'm a co-host. I'm a co-host. We're doing this together, man. Like, I'm a co-host.
I'm a co-host. You're a co-host. We're all a co-host.
Yeah, I'm just taking the piss. Hello, everyone. You may recognize me from my channel, Jim the Cynic. I posted on my channel like almost over a year ago now, announcing this channel itself, and now we're finally getting around to it. This is just a podcast episode just to, just so you get to know us as people. I mean, if you're familiar with my channel, you know who I am. But, Ben, why don't you start by telling us about yourself? And, what made you want to do this in the first place?
That's difficult. Well, it's not really a difficult question, I guess. But, so, realistically, what made me want to do this was... there's just sort of like there's too many channels out there that just sort of like slate games or lick the developers' arseholes. And I was just kind of like, well, I think it's just time to sort of do something where it's like your casual gamers and what real people actually think of these things, and not sort of people who are being paid to promote a game or being paid to slate a game sort of thing, and get real sort of reviews, news, tips, tricks, stuff like that, really. And on top of that, I've always wanted to do YouTube. So yeah, I think that's basically my background.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, this isn't the first time you've been on YouTube either, is it? Like, you had a channel before doing this gaming thing. Do you want to talk about that? Maybe what sort of shifted your focus onto what you used to talk about to now?
So I guess it's just sort of like times have changed, I guess. Like the channel you're on about was quite a few years ago, and it was more of a serious channel, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was providing help and support to people with who are getting confused with all these different benefits that you can have or whatever. I was basically supplying like the information that I knew from what I'd learned on courses or whatever else. So yeah, what made me decide to do gaming though was more, gaming is something that I enjoy, and I just, like I said, I just felt like there was too many people licking arseholes and not really putting out real reviews of stuff, really.
Yeah, I get that. It's like, that's why a lot of the gaming channels that I follow are just mainly individual creators. They're not necessarily large companies like IGN and stuff like that, because it's like I watch IGN's videos, and back in the day I used to really like them, but now it's like I watch it and they say these positive things about a game which is so buggy and with a lot of issues, kind of like they're paid to do it. I mean, I'm not stating that as a fact, but that's just kind of how it seems to me. So I'm really glad that you got me on board. I mean, I remember we talked about this like back in 2020, I think it was during the COVID lockdowns, and we hadn't spoken to each other in years at that point. It was God knows how many years, like 2013 last time we spoke. And I'm really glad that you reached out to me and like we got back in touch, because it's been like great ever since, just doing this with you. And I'm really psyched just to get into it and just start uploading videos.
Yeah, I think, guys, we're not going to put you under any sort of like promises and stuff that you're going to have like super high production videos coming out like every week or whatever, because the facts are that me and Jim, we both work. Jim has a family to look after, and it's one of those of like we just don't, we try to make the time, don't we, Jim?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's just it's difficult, as you said, because I'm a single dad. I got to work. I pick up my daughter from school. I go home, and pretty much at that point I'm just dead to the world and really, really tired. So it's hard to motivate myself to make videos. But it's kind of like I feel with this channel in particular that my heart is with this one a little more than it is my own channel. And that's weird for me to say, because my Jim the Cynic channel is where I began. But it's like having you on board, just having someone who's working with me. It's like kind of a motivational push, knowing that I don't want to let you down, and you know, you just have a friend supporting you and stuff like that. So thank you for that, mate. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I think like that's the same vice versa. So when you're doing it as a team, you're doing stuff sort of like to try and you're pushing yourself a little bit more because you know the other person is pushing themselves as well, or at least that's what I'm hoping. And sorry, mate, I've literally just had a warning call on my PC. Right, it's 35 degrees over here in Wolverhampton. There isn't a cloud in the sky, and something has just popped up on my PC as we're talking, saying that it's going to pour it down with rain in 2 minutes.
Oh,
bloody wish!
I actually wouldn't mind that, you know. And by the way, dude, you just outed our hometown to everybody.
We do not live in Wolverhampton.
No, we're actually
Southampton.
Yeah, we're actually from Venus.
Yeah, Southampton, Venus. It's to the left of the Saturn ring.
It is, yeah. 2 million light years from the Milky Way. Turn left, past the Marks and Spencers, and you'll get there. So yeah, I guess what I really want to dive into today is just to talk about what specific things we're going to do with the channel. And to be honest, there's not exactly a massive plan. And I mean, obviously, it's good to have future goals and stuff, but we're kind of just rolling with it right now, just uploading stuff, seeing what works. And I think the most interesting thing about doing this channel with you is that we have vastly different interests in certain games. Like I'm very much and consoles, to be honest, because you're the Xbox guy, I'm the PlayStation guy, and the sort of games that I'm into are vastly different than yours, which I think brings up some interesting conversations and interesting topics, and you know, we can introduce each other to things which we may not have even batted an eye at before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think I might have converted you for Call of Duty to an extent.
It's still got a bit to go, but I think I'm a lot more interested than I was.
I think if anything's going to convert you to Call of Duty, I think this next title that's coming out this year, I think that will convert you, because we're going old school this year. We are going old school, and I'm just really hoping that they capture the magic of Modern Warfare 2, as they're re-releasing it as a new game but with the same title. So I'm really hoping that they really do capture those days of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had the most nostalgia for a Call of Duty game, it would be the Modern Warfare games. That's pretty much where I began. I mean, I was never too interested in the online stuff because I'm a bit of a loner when it comes to gaming. I usually prefer story-based games to play on my own. But I remember really enjoying the campaign, especially in Modern Warfare 2. I think that was one of my favourites. I mean, is Modern Warfare 2 the one with the what the fuck's the villain called? Vladimir Makarov. Is that the one?
Yeah, it was Vladimir Makarov that was the villain, and then you have General Shepard as a plot twist. It's sort of like who ended up killing you and Ghost, I think. Sorry guys if this is spoiler alerts from like a game over 10 years ago, but if you haven't played it by now, you're in the wrong podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. I think when it comes to spoiling games and stuff like that, I think that if you were to review like a new game or something like that and you wanted to talk about the specifics of it, you should put a spoiler warning. But I think as soon as the game is like a couple of months old, you're pretty much free to talk about it as much as you want. It's the same with films, to be honest. So no, I think a game that's 10 years old, I think we have more than a right just to say what we want about it, and you know, without tiptoeing around it. To be honest, that's just what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. So I think like especially with there's a new Modern Warfare 2 that's coming out. People are calling it Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2 because it's not a number 2, it's Roman numerals. And that's the way to distinguish the difference between the new one and the old one. But going off Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, I really enjoyed that game. Not necessarily just the online. The online took me back to those heydays of Call of Duty, but I think that it was the campaign that did it for me the most. Like when I play on Modern Warfare 2019, I play the campaign every time. I go through and it's just the one mission. I think it's like Night House or something like that. You're moving through like a 3-story London townhouse as a anti-terrorism unit, and you clear it room by room, and it is very difficult to complete on realistic mode, and it is just sort of like, it's just the one mission that stands out to me the most, as like you feel like the badass when you're doing that mission.
Yeah. I mean, games where you feel like a badass and games where you can feel the enemies fearing you. I think it adds to a much more enjoyable experience. Just knowing that. Well, obviously you've got to get good at the game as well, and knowing that you're good at the game as well, and just mowing down all these bad guys, awesome stuff. I mean, obviously, Call of Duty, it's never resonated with me that much, to be honest. I mean, thanks to you, I've gotten a little bit back into it recently. But the Modern Warfare 2 remake, I'm probably going to get that much later, probably not on release. But yeah, I look forward to trying it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've already pre-ordered it, but to be fair, I am like a super fan of it. It's like, if you were telling me to play Crash Bandicoot, for instance, I probably wouldn't get that until it was on sale to actually sort of try it out, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but there's an open beta actually, guys. So I think it's like end of August. I was sort of kicking myself because I'm on holiday when the open beta's going on. But Jim, you'd get early access if you pre-order the game, and you so if you pre-order the game and then like get access to the beta or whatever, then you can just cancel the pre-order afterwards. It's just so you get access to it. You don't have to put any money down or anything like that. But you're a PlayStation player, so it means you get early access to the beta and whatnot. So you could give it a go if you wanted to, try it out, see if you're going to buy it or not, sort of thing. So yeah.
Sounds intriguing actually, because my one worry about buying Call of Duty games and spending like £70 is obviously with the new Xbox and the new and the PS5, games just constantly go up in price. I've noticed that each generation kind of goes up by a tenner, and so I think that might be a good idea just to see if I like it, because I don't want to waste that much money. And obviously, when we talk about our differences in games and what we prefer and stuff like that, I'm very much the opposite to what you said. Just if a new Crash Bandicoot came out, I would be like head over heels for it. I would be ordering it as soon as it was announced. I'm very much I'm into platform games like Crash. I love Spyro, Sonic the Hedgehog, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper. I could name a couple. It's just the genre that I sort of grew up with. And lately, lately I played through 16 Sonic the Hedgehog games, 3D Sonic games, in preparation for a video on this channel, which is taken me a while to finish. And now I'm going through the Crash games, and I think this is a kind of thing which I want to start off with, just something nice and simple, playing through a whole franchise, and then putting them into a nice, simply edited tier list. Getting all my thoughts out in just one video.
How are you getting on with the Sonic ones? I've seen that you've been posting on Instagram though about the Crash ones, because you've been raging about how difficult they've been.
Yeah. I think you're referring to the Platinum Relics there. Like, basically, when Crash Bandicoot got remade by Activision and Vicarious Visions for the Insane trilogy on the PS4, it eventually came out on Xbox One and Steam, but they added Platinum Time Trial Relics, which were originally in the third game, in all three games. And some of them are just so hard to get that I don't think I kind of rediscovered what it was like to be a raging teenager, because when I used to play the old Crash Bandicoot games, and back when I wasn't that skilled, I used to like rage quite a lot and get really angry. Since then, I've calmed down quite a lot when it comes to playing games. I still get mad sometimes, but it's like these Platinum Time Trial Relics reintroduced what that feeling felt like, and I was like, oh god, I feel like a kid again, but in the wrong way.
I mean, yeah, I suppose it's one of them, like, you know that the game is good when it makes you rage, because when you're raging, you've in some way you've connected with that game, so that you actually care enough to rage over it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. It's like because you've got so much passion to try and beat said level that you're stuck on. Because I think if I didn't care about a game at all and I got stuck on it over and over again, I'd probably just give up and put the game down. But now I see what you mean. It's like plus Crash, for example. Out of all the platform games that I mentioned earlier, I think Crash is the one which started me off with everything. Because I remember my first console, it was a Super Nintendo, but I didn't really play it that much. So my first actual huge memory that springs to mind when I think of how I started gaming, it's got to be the PS1. And the first game I owned for that one was Crash Bandicoot. And since then, that orange marsupial's just stuck with me. And I'm really glad that he's back in the limelight now. Obviously, he went dormant for quite a while. And it's just great seeing him back. And hopefully Toys for Bob and Activision can work out a brand new Crash Bandicoot game, just as good as Crash Bandicoot 4. Maybe for those who have played Crash Bandicoot 4, you know what I mean when it comes to the unfair difficulty in some points. I'm not just another guy on the internet rambling about how hard a game is because I suck at it. Like, Crash 4 is legitimately very, very difficult and challenging in parts to the point where it's unbearably brutal. And I think they just went a little too overboard with it. That would be my main criticism of that game in particular. I like how I just randomly went into a review of Crash 4. Like, this is what happens when there's no structure to the podcast.
I mean, well, now you've mentioned the Activision, this corporate. We're both fans of some of their franchises.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the acquisition of Activision by Microsoft?
Yeah, basically, at first I was kind of worried, but then I think when we had that conversation in private, which would have made a great podcast episode in all fairness, I wish we were recording at the time. Basically, I was worried that because since Activision own two of my most personal, close favourite mascots of the PlayStation, Crash and Spyro, I was kind of worried that they'd only be Xbox exclusives in future. But I think after me and you had that conversation, I'm a little more at ease with it now. I mean, maybe since they're owned by Microsoft now, Xbox will get the releases first, followed by PlayStation, and I'm fine with that. Like, I've never minded having to wait a little longer just to get a game. Like, because I see a lot of people online, a lot of discourse and everything like that, complaining that this game's an exclusive of this particular console, which means you have to wait. Ha 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 ha. I've never been that kind of person to, that something like that just doesn't bother me. Like, if I know the game is coming to my console, I'll happily wait, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think everyone who plays Xbox for Call of Duty knows the feeling of having to wait. Like, they went way too far with the games over the last few years. Like, we're spending £60, £70, £65, up to £100 on a game, and as Xbox users, we're actually being locked off from parts of the Call of Duty game because we're not playing it on PlayStation. Which I think is just really out of order. So at the same time, I'm actually hoping, because the thing is, Phil Spencer, who is the CEO of the Xbox, who's acquired Activision and that, he's very much pro gaming rather than, obviously he has to run a business, but he's not some guy in a suit just trying to make as much money as possible. He's been making the right decisions for Xbox over the last 5-10 years. And although it's took a while for him to get to the position that he's in at the moment, he's had that plan. And to be honest, I think that Microsoft and Xbox are going to start moving more towards a future of play anywhere rather than play on a console, which means that I think that I generally don't think that they're going to hold things back for PlayStation, because I just think that it would just be a bad rep for them. And Microsoft, Xbox have they've got the reputation of being the bigger person, whereas Sony, I'm not bashing people or whatever for PlayStation, but Sony have the reputation for underhand tactics.
Underhand tactics.
Yeah, so like they'll go out and they'll acquire things and make it like for their console only, or
Oh, okay, yeah.
sort of exclusivity for a period of time, so it won't go on Xbox until like 3 months after or a year after in Call of Duty's case. I'd say that they're shady and underhand tactics personally. I know that Microsoft are not clean and they've done it in the past before, but they've moved away from that, whereas Sony has stayed with those sorts of tactics. And
Yeah, I get
that's
that.
why I see it as a good thing that Xbox have acquired Activision, because it's just sort of like, I think it's a goodbye to those sort of tactics now. I think it's just going to be pure gaming, and I think they're going to keep Activision in check with their greedy-handed tactics as well.
Oh, mate, yeah, tell me about it. I mean, if I were to get onto, the conversation of Activision and their, like, money-hungry assholes, spangle-waggles. I don't know how to word that properly, but yeah, I'll be here all day. But yeah, as you said before, like, as you said before, like, it's one of those, like, I don't know what to say.
Sorry, I can't. Fucking spangle waggles.
Spangle waggles.
What the fuck's a spangle waggle?
You know what? When I start rambling and I don't know what to say, I just say really stupid shit to try and fill in those gaps. That's kind of what it sounded like. Oh, okay. All right.
I've just never heard that word in my life before.
What was the point I was trying to make? The point I was trying to make was I kind of missed the days. I mean, obviously with this new deal going on, I mean, of what you've explained to me, I don't really look into the specifics of this kind of stuff, but of what I've seen and of what you've told me, it seems that gaming couldn't be in a better place at the moment. I mean, I do generally miss the days when games would come out and they'd be like multi-platformed almost immediately. Like for example, what really springs to mind when I think about multi-platform games is like the old PS2, Xbox, GameCube era of platformers like Crash and Spyro and stuff like that. Whenever a new game came out, it wasn't just for the PlayStation 2, it was also for the Xbox and the GameCube. And it's kind of like as times went on, that thing sort of stopped and there was more exclusives coming out for the newer gen consoles. I mean, I get that there's competition and stuff like that, so I'm not knocking them for doing that in some kind of sense, but it sounds like this kind of thing with Microsoft and Activision, Microsoft buying Activision, it's kind of putting a slight stop to it, if that makes sense. And I think, yeah, gaming's in a pretty good place right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm quite optimistic about the future.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. See, when we said that we were going to introduce ourselves to the community and stuff like that,
yeah,
I think maybe we should. Do you know what? Let's start with telling people like what the beginning of our gaming lives were. So, what was your first console, Jim?
First console was actually the I think it was the Super Nintendo. You know, back when you had you slotted this huge brick in the top of a console, and I remember I had Street Fighter and I had Star Fox, and I just remember absolutely sucking at both of them. I remember the PS1 being my most profound memory of gaming. I mean, although it wasn't my first console, and obviously I mentioned before that Crash Bandicoot was my first game. And it's kind of weird, because the thing that convinced me to get Crash Bandicoot in the first place, here's a little story time for you. There used to be Crash and Spyro toys that came inside cereal boxes. So I remember I used to be obsessed with Kellogg's Wheatos, and each and every box I had. Yeah, you know what I mean. And they had like little Crash figures and Spyro figures, and I remember I got a Crash figure. And immediately I was just like, oh, what's this? And then when I found out it was a video game character, I kind of wouldn't shut up about playing the game. And then my mum, the following Christmas, went out and brought me a PS1 with Crash Bandicoot. So although Crash Bandicoot came out in 96, I technically didn't play it until 98. So at this point, the first two Spyro games were already out, I think. No, sorry, the first Spyro game was already out. So yeah, that's kind of interesting how my love of gaming originated from a fucking cereal box. What about you, mate?
So I think my first ever games console was actually a Dreamcast, and
Oh, the good old Dreamcast, yeah.
I think the first ever game that I had was Sonic Adventure.
Yes, man.
But the Dreamcast sort of fell out of production quite quickly, so they stopped selling the games like pretty much after a year. And I
Yeah.
think on the same year, my mum got me a PlayStation 1. And that was when gaming sort of became not serious, but an everyday thing for me. My first game on the PlayStation 1 was World's Craziest Police Chase,
World's Craziest Police Chase. I've
or
never heard of that
something
in my
along the
entire life.
lines of that.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, because like,
It was sort of like the first ever GTA.
yeah, I was going to say it kind of reminds me of what GTA became. I mean, obviously GTA is one of the biggest franchises in the world. Rockstar are probably one of the biggest gaming companies, if not the biggest gaming company. Gamis. I'm not speaking English today, guys. The biggest gaming company in the world, but yeah, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, I think it looks like both of us originated from a PS1. Our gaming tastes were different, which is what fascinates me about the conversations we have.
Yeah, so I think I do remember on the PlayStation 1, because I got a PlayStation 2 quite quickly after the PlayStation 1, because unfortunately I didn't actually start gaming until 2001. And I used to play The Sims as well. The first ever Sims on PlayStation 2 was a good game. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, because I used to love going as is it Darth Maul, the guy out of Star Wars with a double lightsaber?
Yeah,
I
Darth Maul,
discovered cheat codes at a very young age, and I loved playing on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, I think it was, or 3, or something like that. And I was able to go up a ramp as Darth Maul, and I just think that was just amazing. Still to this day, I think it's amazing, to be fair, that you can do that.
Yeah, it kind of brings you back to the days where gaming, as you mentioned, cheat codes. Like cheat codes don't really exist that much in gaming anymore. I mean, there used to be a time where you could have like a huge cheat menu and you can type in all these different buttons, especially in stuff like GTA, and you could get these crazy vehicles and weapons and stuff like that. I kind of miss the days when games were like that. It's like if you want to cheat the system now, you have to sort of mod it and stuff like that, or emulate it, whatever the word is called, which takes a hell of a lot more effort. So it's like, I don't know, I just miss the days when cheat codes were a thing. And it's kind of like, it's weird as well. This brings me to a funny point here. Like, I remember when I played, I don't know if you've heard of this game. It's called Destroy All Humans. It was on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Basically, a few years ago, that game was remade for the PS4. I think the Xbox One, I'm not entirely sure. And I remember going to input that same cheat code and it not working. And then it made me realise just how difficult the game can be in places, not having those cheats activated, because I used to pussy out and sort of have the unlimited health cheat on. And playing through it on the PS4, I mean, I managed to beat the game in the end, but it's like that was the first proper go-through of it, of doing it properly. And I suppose, do you think the reason why they took that they sort of removed cheat codes from games in general was to challenge the player a little more? I mean, what do you think on that? Because I'm not entirely sure. I don't really have an answer for it.
I think that, to be honest, mate, I generally think that single-player games just don't really exist anymore. And I think that they just don't put any time realistically into the single-player mode, or enough time to generate cheat codes and stuff like that, because the majority of people tend to play online now. And obviously, you can't cheat when you're online. I mean, GTA 5, it's still like, I'm pretty sure it's still one of the best-selling games. And I'll be honest, I've put more hours into the campaign because I can put like an unlimited health cheat on and stuff. And like, even though it's limited cheats, there's still cheat codes in GTA 5, which I'm like, I've just sort of come to enjoy being offline and just being able to blow people up and like do funny things online. Well, not online, offline. in the story mode, and like, we're talking about classic games here. I think one of the games that I played the most on the PlayStation 2 was The Simpsons Hit and Run. That has got to be, I mean, going back to basic now, but it was one of the most fun games and very GTA-like that I was actually allowed to play, because when this came out, I would have been 7 or 8 years old, and I was banned from playing Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I tried everything with my mum, trying to convince her, oh, it's not a bad game, Mum, blah, 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 and I think she just read the newspapers, and it was a lost fight on that one. So,
don't forget, boys and girls.
Yeah,
if you play violent games at a young age, you'll be a psychopath when you're older.
Oh yeah, get GTA 5 now if you're 7 years old, and by the time you're 21, you can be an axe murderer like me.
Yay! Okay, I think that's a totally different discussion for another podcast, because that would be really interesting to talk about, just how ridiculous some of these things are. I mean, like recently, I even ranted about this on my Facebook page. I don't know if you saw it, Ben, but it was basically a post which I posted. Let's see if I can find it just really quickly. Okay, scrolling through. Hang on. Sorry, hang on.
I remember this post. I vaguely remember it.
Somebody posted an article and it said, "Internet is debating whether teabagging in games is sexual assault." And that was kind of when I sort of lost it and thought, oh my God, can the world get any more pathetic? And so I said, like, okay, if the world is going to be this pathetic, let's keep it going, shall we? Just for the laughs. You can't kill zombies in Black Ops. They were once people. Hedgehogs aren't blue and can't run fast. You're spreading false information. Crash doesn't look like a bandicoot, therefore it's offensive to real bandicoots to call him that. Kratos barely bothers to call his son by his real name and just calls him boy. This is bad parenting and shouldn't be encouraged. Seriously, man, I can't with this stuff anymore.
I think, like, on a serious note, responsible parents should not be letting their 7-year-olds play on GTA 5, because, I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm 5 years old, why do I want to learn what a prostitute is and what the full service is? I'm 5 years old. I don't want to know that. And, like, it's just one of those where, as a parent, yes, the game age ratings and stuff can sometimes be a little bit OTT, but it's easy to do a bit of research online, look up what the game's about, and then make the decision yourself on that. But, just don't go out and buy your 2-year-old GTA 5 or Call of Duty, because I'm sick of hearing squeaky little shits in the fucking game lobbies now.
In the game lobbies, yeah. Going back to the days of the third generation, the PS3 and Xbox 360, where the lobbies was all 12-year-olds threatening to kill each other and stuff like that.
I think that it's okay to have like that banter, but I also think once the 360 generation had finished and we moved on to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, I think that sort of community of going into a lobby and talking to each other sort of ended up dying off, because games didn't necessarily push for you to speak to people you don't know anymore, which I can see from a security point of view, because obviously there was a lot of bad people going into these lobbies, befriending like kids and shit, and predatory behavior going on and stuff. But again, it's just an example of how the minority can wreck it for the majority, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. Because like, I'm a firm believer that like at least 90% of the public are good people, but like there's always that 10% which completely overshadow them with how, I suppose vocal they are and how much more attention is being paid to them, because they're the ones going out of their way to cause trouble. But I kind of, but I kind of get it. You got to protect people and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I don't really have any personal experiences with this, because I was never the kind to chat to people in a lobby or people I didn't know. Like, to be honest, when I was playing Call of Duty Cold War with you, I think it was like mid last year when we were playing Cold War together. That is probably the closest I've been to actually like talking to friends while playing a game when they're not in the same room as me, because it kind of saddens me at the same time. I mean, obviously, it's good fun to play games with your, with your friends online. Sometimes it can really amp up the experience, and it could just be a lot better. But I kind of do miss the days of local co-op too, and that's kind of why I'm glad that there are some games that do exist, like It Takes Two and A Way Out, which is like split screen. I mean, I don't think there's quite an experience like playing a really good game with a buddy sitting in the same room as you.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of them at the moment where I think that we are making a shift now from. So, I think that we're just sort of like because there's more money to be made in online gaming. I think that we are slowly making that shift to online only content. There's been a couple of games that have been released without campaigns, like story modes and stuff, and it's just online only. But I think that it's just sort of like, it's bad, but it's just the way that it's going, because like obviously, you can buy a skin that you'll never see, or you can buy blueprints for a gun that you'll only see like half of, or stuff like that. And I think it's just the way it's going. I mean, to be honest with you, I think this is going to shock you a little bit, but I've actually gotten quite invested into Formula One.
Oh, okay, like the like watching it on TV, or do you mean like gaming, like playing Formula One?
Yeah, playing Formula One. So on the Xbox Game Pass at the moment, there's F1 2021. And I've actually got quite invested in it. There's even a story mode on that one, actually, which I've been playing, and I've actually been quite enjoying it. It seems very intense sometimes, other times it's not. There's like a story going on with like your teammate, and like the competitiveness between the both of you, and it just sort of throws you into different scenarios on the track. Like you can be like, the last chapter that I've played, there was a problem with the car, so I think it was a puncture or something, and I had to go into the pits, and then I also had to finish in podium position. So once I'd gone into the pits, I'd dropped down to like 10th or 11th, and I had to regain those positions within, I think it was like 7 laps. So it was quite challenging, but at the same time, you feel the connection with the player that with the driver that you're playing as, really. They've done a really good job at being able to sort of like invest in that story of the player. It's a story of how he came into F1. He started in F2. You sort of finish that. You celebrate with him for qualifying out of F2 and going into F1, signing with a different team, and you go through the emotions of trying to settle into F1, I guess, and all that sort of stuff. It's really good. It's really, really good.
So that's good. Super interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously F1 is a sport as well, so like a sports game. There's not usually that much emphasis on emotion and story-driven plot points in sports games. I mean, if you look at FIFA, I could be wrong. I don't play it, but from what I can see, there's no story to it. It's just sort of play a league of football. So that's really intriguing. I mean, I've always been a sucker for like story-based games, which is probably why I prefer single games in general, with a kind of story structure to them. Preferably games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima. I love games like that. Anything with an intricate story like that, and it's kind of fascinating to me that it's been implicated into a sports game of what I'm assuming is the first time. I mean, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Like, yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm the same as you. I don't really play the sports games. But yeah, I think FIFA had like some story mode going on a couple of years ago when I last played it. I don't know if they carried that on. I think they did, like for the next one, but then the one after that they might have abolished it or something, because I didn't really see anything about the story mode. But You know, again, when FIFA did it, they did a really good job. I can't really remember the ins and outs of it, but it was like basically you started off as this kid and you train and all the rest of it, and yeah, you eventually sort of get into the league that you want to play as, and you feel the pressure as well from fitting in with the team and stuff, and it goes through that emotional sides of like what footballers go through, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's like
yeah,
rising above everyone else kind of thing. And yeah,
I mean, I think they're starting to bring like the story modes into the sports games and stuff, and I think that's a really good idea, to be honest. Like you sort of connect with the game a little bit more than just sort of just playing football or just racing or stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly, yeah.
So I think it's quite good that they've got these story modes now.
I think that's what I really love about gaming in general, and something which I've actually discovered recently. I'll try and explain it the best I can. I usually have a script for this kind of stuff, so bear with me. But basically, I feel, I mean, when I think about a movie, for example, and I think about the story that was written and character dialogue to try and make the characters feel like real people, that is all amazing and everything like that. But I don't think any kind of media, like a book or a game, a book or a movie, can make you feel the way a game can sometimes by putting you in that position, making you feel like you're the protagonist and you're going through these same emotions that these characters are going through. That's just kind of how gaming in general feels to me, especially when there's games with choice-based stuff as well, when you can choose like a good or bad ending or something like that. Like your choices affect the story and stuff like that. I've always been really interested in stuff like that. I don't think there's any kind of media out there that can implicate that feeling as much as anyone else. I mean, as much as anything else, if that makes sense. I think so. I think that's why gaming has really grabbed me recently. Absorbing me into this character's mind. The world itself, and I just don't think a movie or book could do that. I mean, a movie, you're just watching what's happening on the screen. I mean, it's written for you. But in a game, you're playing these experiences for yourself, so you sort of get to choose how you do it, kind of thing. I think when we first made this channel, we decided that Ben was going to focus on the on the Xbox stuff. I was going to focus on the PlayStation stuff. I think Haley, your girlfriend, will sometimes jump on and talk about Switch and everything like that. But what I mainly want to do is focus on a lot of retro games from like the PS2, PS3 era, while still talking about new releases. I've got some ideas for like challenge runs and stuff like that. So like you play through a certain game and you have to do a specific thing. Like, for example, play The Last of Us, where you have to stealth every single person, or play this game without getting hit. Stuff like that. I think that's the kind of content which I want to go for, along with doing these podcasts with you and single reviews and tier lists and stuff like that.
So basically, I was going to start concentrating on news, really, about the Xbox and stuff. I'm going to be bringing out a review on the Xbox Series S, as I've recently acquired that. But I need to play it a little bit more. I mean, initial sort of reaction to it, I guess, would be that the Series S is basically an Xbox One, but is a little bit faster in loading games. Like that's literally the difference at the moment. And graphics wise, it's a bit better, but I'm not really one to sort of like judge that very well, to be fair. But
it's awesome.
I think that going forward with the game, with the channel, I think that I'm just sort of gonna just talk about like different bits of news that are coming through, and just sort of like stick to what I know, but what I also enjoy, so that the content doesn't become bland, I guess.
Yeah, I get that totally. I mean, what we're going to try and do with the channel, guys, is be like completely real with you every single time. We're not doing this for money or to cash in checks or anything like that. We are just going to be honest with our opinions. If a game is like widely praised as being good, if we don't like it, we're going to do our best to explain why we don't like it.
The Patreon's coming soon.
Give me your money. But yeah. overall, I just think this is something which we just wanted to post and talk about anything gaming related. And obviously we stretched it out longer than we probably needed to, but I know I've enjoyed myself today, mate. Thank you for having. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't really thank you for having me on. I mean, this is our channel. Like, we should thank each other.
Well, you're welcome, co-host. I'm always happy to have you on.
Oh, cheers, mate. Appreciate that. So yeah, I guess as a final thing, I will let you guys know I am still uploading to my Jim the Cynic channel whenever I can find the motivation, whenever the UK is not so fucking hot. That's when I'll upload on there. And I have 2 videos coming out for this channel coming soon after this podcast. I have my Sonic tier list, which will go on this channel, as well as my Jim the Cynic channel. But one which is going to be exclusive to this channel only is top 10 games which I think would benefit from a remake. Now, this video is basically going to be my personal thoughts. Like, I'm not really going to look at the critical acclaim of games and what the public may want. This is mainly a top 10 list of games which I would love to play if they were remade. And so I'm going to work on that soon. I've got the script ready. I'm just waiting for it to cool down a little bit in this weather, and then I'll get to work on it. So I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to in this podcast as an introduction kind of thing. I know we ramble quite a lot on different topics and stuff like that. That's just kind of what happens when me and Ben have a conversation. It just sort of goes in random directions and stuff like that. But I'm really happy that we sat down and filmed this just so we can get something on the channel. So basically, this is what we're going to be doing: just gaming related stuff, posting what we want, seeing what sticks, seeing what doesn't, and then just enjoying ourselves at the same time, while being as real with you guys and real with ourselves as possible. But yeah, we have got videos coming from both of us. Like, sometimes it'll be a collab review, sometimes it'll be individual reviews that we've made ourselves, and yeah, we're just gonna have a blast doing it. So with that said, everybody, you can find me at Jim the Cynic on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
And you can find me on Nebcam Gaming.
Just this channel
on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh yes, don't forget. Yeah. Nebcam Gaming also has an Instagram account of the same name. So yeah, make sure you check us all out there. And I guess that's it then, guys. I think we've all wrapped it up for tonight. So yeah.
And guys, thanks, and we'll catch you in the next one. Big thank you to my not co-host. He's co-owner of the channel. That was a little joke that I've been winding Jim up with through the whole podcast. So guys, have a nice evening or day or morning or whenever you're watching this, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I do apologize if we were rambling a little bit, but yeah, this is just us.
Yeah, so, it's just us.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys, and stay cool. Take care.